Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a kind young girl named Cinderella. Her heart was pure, her smile gentle, and her dreams brighter than the stars in the night sky. But life had not been easy for her. After her father's passing, she lived under the cruel care of her stepmother and her two stepsisters. They treated her not as family, but as a servant. Day and night, Cinderella swept the floors, washed the dishes, and cooked the meals. Her hands grew tired, but her heart never lost hope. Because deep inside, she believed that kindness, patience, and faith always bring light, even in the darkest of days. One morning, news spread through the village like wildfire. The king had announced a grand ball at the royal palace. It was to be held in honor of the prince, who was searching for his true companion. Every maiden in the kingdom was invited. The stepsisters were thrilled. They rushed to their rooms, giggling and planning their gowns. Cinderella, too, felt her heart flutter with excitement. Could it be possible? Could she go? But her stepmother, with a cold smile, said, "Cinderella, you may attend the ball. Only if you finish every single chore in this house, and if you can find something suitable to wear." Her words were meant as a cruel trick, for she knew Cinderella had neither time nor a gown. On the night of the ball, Cinderella helped her stepsisters into their dresses. She tied their ribbons, polished their shoes, and fixed their hair. When they left in their carriage, Cinderella sat alone by the fireplace, her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, how I wish I could go too," she whispered. And just then, something magical happened. A soft glow filled the room. From the light appeared a gentle, radiant figure, her fairy godmother. With a warm smile, she said, "Dear child, why are you crying?" Cinderella explained her sadness, and the fairy godmother touched her cheek kindly. "You are kind and you are worthy, my dear, and tonight you shall go to the ball." With a wave of her shimmering wand, magic began to swirl. A pumpkin turned into a golden carriage. Mice scurried and transformed into elegant horses. Her torn dress sparkled and reshaped into the most breathtaking gown. And on her feet appeared delicate glass slippers that shined like stars. Cinderella gasped. "It's beautiful," the fairy godmother warned. "But remember, my dear, the magic will last only until midnight. At the final stroke of 12, everything will return to what it was." Cinderella nodded eagerly, her heart racing with joy. At the palace, chandeliers glittered, music filled the air, and laughter echoed in the grand hall. But when Cinderella entered, all eyes turned toward her. She was more radiant than anyone had ever seen. The prince himself stopped mid-step, captivated by her grace. He approached her, bowed gently, and asked, "May I have this dance?" And so, under the golden lights, they danced. Step after step, spin after spin. They laughed, they smiled, and for the first time in her life, Cinderella felt truly seen. The prince whispered, "I feel as though I've known you forever." And Cinderella, though nervous, felt her heart opening. But suddenly, the great clock began to strike. Dong, dong, dong. Her eyes widened in panic. Midnight was near. "I must go," she cried, running toward the palace doors. The prince reached out. "Wait! I don't even know your name." But Cinderella could not stop. She fled down the stairs, her gown sparkling as she ran. In her haste, one delicate glass slipper slipped from her foot, left behind on the marble steps. She disappeared into the night, just as the 12th stroke rang out. Her carriage turned back into a pumpkin, her gown into rags, and her horses back into mice. Only one thing remained, the glass slipper. The next day, the prince declared he would find the mysterious maiden who had stolen his heart. With the glass slipper in hand, he visited every home in the kingdom. The stepsisters pushed and pulled, trying desperately to force the slipper onto their feet, but it was far too small. Finally, the prince asked Cinderella to try. Her stepmother laughed cruelly. Surely not her. But the prince insisted. Cinderella slipped her foot into the glass slipper, and it fit perfectly. The prince's eyes lit up with joy. He knew without a doubt that she was the one. And so, Cinderella's kindness, patience, and courage led her to the happiness she had always dreamed of. She married the prince, and together they lived in love and harmony. But more than that, Cinderella's story reminds us all that no matter how dark life may seem, Kindness and hope can create the most magical transformations. Because sometimes all it takes is one magical night. And that, my dear listeners, was Cinderella's magical night.